are joined today by a man with a brain so big I had to order him special hats back when he played for us. But from Bolivar, Richburg, New York, which is where he was going to school when he played for us. He's kind of moved around quite a bit in his life, and then he just finished up his senior year at St. John's Fisher. It's Alan Murphy. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. So, like I said, when we first met, you were going to Bolivar, Richburg. My aunt actually was one of your teachers in elementary school, so we
Yep.
get some good stories. We met at a PBR event, and I think we might have got talking to you and your dad afterwards, and just talking about playing back in the very first team, the Blueprint Baseball. And I think you kind of came and filled in for us the one weekend, and then came the next weekend and the next week, so ended up almost all the tournaments that summer, and then play with us again the next year. And was always a really good player for us, batting in the middle of the lineup, playing in the middle of the field, pitching for us and stuff. Always had good success. You kind of got, I don't want to say under recruited, but we always thought, not that this is kind of part of my point, is not that the D1 always means everything, but we thought you were, definitely a D1 caliber player. And the St. John's Fisher coach was on you hard, like really hard, when he was recruiting you and stuff. And I think it really ended up being a really good fit for you, just with how Potter was, how, the school-wise and stuff. So is that something you're kind of grateful for? Like you found a really good fit for you over, I went to the place had the highest, theoretical level of baseball?
Yeah, for sure. I think because my freshman year, it was easier, the transition academically and athletically.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was also able to get a ton of at-bats right away. So when I came into summer ball, I was ready to go, even if I was facing tougher pitching than what I saw at school. Not that I necessarily wouldn't have played at all at, a higher ranked school, but, you never know. But I went there and I felt like I fit in really well, and coaching staff was, great. So, I gelled and the transition was relatively easy.
Right. Were there other schools that you kind of were interested in, or was Fisher kind of always out in front, number one?
I only applied to 3, but U of R was up there. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get as much communication from their coach as I did Fisher. And then the only D1 schools that talked to me were Binghamton and Canisius, but it was more of a walk-on. So, and I didn't really want to do that. So
Right.
I went to Fisher and some other D3s and JUCOs and things like that. But mostly Fisher was definitely like the front runner.
Right. And I remember, and I wasn't around. I was down coaching in Florida, but I just remember my dad saying, oh, we hit at Portville today above the subway. Murph was there. So you obviously put a lot of time in to help, develop. And you went and played summer ball, in the collegiate summer league right after, you graduating, that first summer before you even went to school. How much of a jump do you think you made in that year, like, your senior year, and then that summer before you even went on campus at Fisher?
I mean,
You
really physically,
put on a lot of muscle, right? You put on some size too.
yeah, physically that was probably my biggest jump. Because I went from being like 5. I mean, you remember I was like 5'7", 5'6",
Right.
maybe 130 soaking wet, and then I was 5'11", maybe like 165 my senior year. So that helped a lot, and then I just kind of got more of a feel for my swing, hitting a lot with you and Jay, and then the high school season, and then the summer season, and travel ball and everything. I felt like I was more comfortable in the box, just getting more reps. Baseball was no longer like, I don't know, uh, an event. It was just, okay, I have a baseball game today, so what? I did that the last 7 days, so it's not a big deal.
Right. Okay. Um, so you go to school? Did you feel good going in because you played that summer of of good competition before you got there, or was there still kind of? I'm sure there was still a little bit of like, this is my college team. Like these guys are 21, 22 years old, but there's still that little bit of like trying to get over that. I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I felt ready because
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I've seen college pitching before. This is fine. But even when you get to college, you just kind of notice, for me, is everybody's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So I had to work harder to get bigger and stronger and, find my power and things like that. So I still needed time even when I got there to develop further. But I definitely felt more comfortable with the failure that you experience in college because in high school you don't experience that as much. And then over the summer, I didn't bat. I mean, you're not going to bat 500 in a summer collegiate league. That just doesn't really happen, especially if you're straight out of high school. So it prepared me for that.
Right. I remember I was at UF, like that like jump from like high school baseball in like small school Pennsylvania to like Division 1. Like I remember it was like it's insane. It's like not even the same game. And I remember like the one time I caught myself, we were inter squad and they had a kid. He came in. I'm like, oh, thank God, this kid. He's only like 90, 92, but his ball's straight. Like, and I'm like, what am I saying? This kid throws 92 miles an hour, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just crazy how like how good those guys are. Like, you have to adjust to that. So you have, you have success right away. You have a lot of success. You're 3 full years at Fisher, and you were off to a good start here. This spring. Um, one thing I wanted to ask you about, kind of moving around position wise. You played a lot of different positions. Is that something you enjoyed, or would you have liked to kind of settle into position? Like, where do you feel most comfortable in the field?
Um, I mean, honestly, my favorite position's hitting. So if I whatever,
Lineup?
if I'm in the lineup, I don't care.
Right.
I played first base most of my junior year. I never played first base in my life before that and ended up loving it.
Okay.
So, I think just being open to it was the best. And if you're athletic, like you can play anywhere in baseball.
Right.
So I prefer outfield, but if as long as I get to play.
Right. Yeah. As long as you get those 4 or 5 ABs, it don't matter where you're at.
Yeah.
So you're a high, really high academic kid. You have really big plans for the future, and we'll kind of talk about it in a little bit, for your academics. But what was that like, finding that balance of because it's hard. I mean, it's hard to put a lot into baseball because obviously you want to be good at baseball. I know that, and maybe these guys, maybe the listeners don't know yet, but you're a very driven, very motivated kid. So you want to be good. So for that to happen, you have to put more extra time in at baseball. Well, then to be a really high-end student, you have to put a lot of time in. So what was that like, trying to figure out that balance when you first got to school of, prioritizing my time and stuff like that?
First year it was really hard because
Mhm.
what I ended up doing was noticing, okay, I got to spend a ton of time in school. It's not like high school anymore.
Mhm.
Um, you know, in the first 2 years especially for a bio major, like the Gen Chem, Orgo, those classes are really hard.
Mhm.
Especially if you haven't taken the APs in high school. So I had to spend more time on that and ended up kind of just tunnel visioning myself and doing just that and not putting enough time into the weight room and baseball and extra hitting and not just going to practice and then leaving and going to the library, that type of thing. And then when I got to the summer, I was like, holy shit. Sorry, I don't know if I can cuss,
Oh yeah,
but
I'm going off. Trust me.
I was like, I don't have anything else to do. I just, watch some Netflix till noon. I go hit an early work and then we play in the game and I feel great. I'm not
Right.
stressed. I didn't stay
So
up late.
there's nothing better than when you're playing like every day. I remember at UF, we would get done with school like the end of April, and we'd have like another like 6 weeks of baseball, and you practice in the morning, you just hang out. Like, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, exactly. And then I noticed that too. Semester would end, we go in the conference play. I'd face better pitching, and I did way better my freshman year that tournament. And
Right.
so it's like, okay, I need to manage my time better, and also especially after the summer of my sophomore year, I realized, okay, I have a shot at this. I could be really good. I need to get in the weight room. I need to prioritize this, and that's when I really started. Not that I wasn't doing the extra work before, but I
I think
re-emphasized it. It was another. It was different. It was okay. I'm gonna stay for 2 hours, then I'm done. Going to the weight room. Even if it's at 11 o'clock at night, I'm going to the weight room. That type of thing.
I always notice like you grow up like I want to play Major League Baseball. Like that's like your thing, you know what I mean? Like, and I've
Yeah,
been around the game my whole life, so that was like always a thing. But like when you start to get somewhere where like it starts to really become a reality, like you're doing the same amount of work, but like the way you look at it mentally, for me anyways, like yeah, I was always lifting before, I was always hitting extra, but then like when that opportunity to play pro baseball was there, like the focus on that stuff was like it completely changed. Did you feel that way too? Is that kind of what you're talking about right there?
Yeah, absolutely. And also just, I don't know, ABs and stuff. It kind of gives you a boost of confidence too. It's like,
Right,
okay, someone thinks I'm good at this. I should think I'm good at this too. And then you step in the box and you're like, all right, whatever. This
right.
is, I got it.
Um, there's one thing. Like, maybe I'm assuming too much here, but it seemed like you said, like, like in high school, it was a big event for the baseball. And then when you started playing every day, it's more of I can relax. If I don't have a great game today, I have another game tomorrow. So is that kind of like that learning to deal with the failure and not having the anxiety of I only get to play like twice this week. I want to play really good. Is that kind of something you enjoyed about being able to play, more games during the season?
Yeah, absolutely. Because in high school, it's what, 20 regular season and then,
Yeah,
5 playoff if you don't have snowouts and stuff.
yeah,
And that's like 60, 70 at bats. So it's almost like you got to go 2 for 4, 3 for 4 if you want your stats to be good. But in summer ball, it's like, all right, we faced a nasty lefty today who threw 94, had a tough day, come back the next day. So what? Doesn't
right,
matter. like
yeah,
that's just part of the game.
right,
And you have like 150 at bats. So you know you're going to get chances.
right. Um, Now, going into this year, obviously it was going to be a big year for you. You're a senior, last college summer or last college season, trying to impress pro scouts. And um, do you how hard is it for you to mentally just say, okay, I just got to go play my game. I don't have to do more than I'm capable of, because that was always a big thing. Like that was hard for me. Like you go to a game, no, I mean you're not stupid. You know when the scout's back there, and you know who's there to see you, and like it's almost like you try to put too much pressure. Is that something you kind of had to deal with? Of not, I don't need to hit 5 home runs. I just need to have good at bats.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does kind of make you nervous. At first, it wasn't that bad over the summer and stuff. I was like, okay, whatever, because I wasn't thinking about it as much. It was kind of far away. But
Right.
this season, it was kind of more in my face because I went to some showcases over the winter, went to some over the summer. Guys would come talk to me before the game or come watch my BP and then be at the game. I'm like, okay, I just start, or if and then you go strike out in your first at bat and you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like I struck out, and it would be more frustrating. It's like, crap, that was a bad at bat. That was
Right.
4 pitches, and I struck out. Like I got to relax and like barrel up the next ball. But I mean, you also have to rein yourself in and think you don't have to think that way. They came and watched your BP for a reason.
Right.
That's your tools. That's what gets you to the next level. And then the game is just, how do you handle the game? Um, Not so much. Did he hit it over the freaking barn in center field?
Right. Okay, so with the whole coronavirus going on, that hits. Season's canceled. Then we find out, we get word that all spring sport athletes get an extra year of eligibility. You're kind of in a unique situation where that's not really a possible thing for you because of your academic track and what you want to do. So they just came out the other day and announced that, for anybody that doesn't know, the MLB draft's only going to be 5 rounds, and anybody, you can sign any unlimited amount of undrafted free agents after that, but you can only sign for 20 grand. So my first thought was actually about you was, you know, shoot 5 rounds, that's tough. But that's, you're talking about like, premium talent guys, that's up there. You're talking
Yeah,
about college guys, high school guys. But then I started thinking about, with the undrafted free agents can only sign for up to 20 grand, that is a huge in favor of college seniors, because, most high school seniors or high school juniors, if they're not going to sign for 20 grand, they'll, go to school and wait for next year's draft when there's more bonus money available. So is that kind of how you feel about it too, going in? Like, is that something you would want to do and pursue, that undrafted free agent route?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody plays baseball wanting to play pro ball, so if it's a possibility, I mean, one of my summer ball teammates told me one time when we were all talking about the draft and whatnot, and he was like, "I'd sign for a plane ticket," and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, if you get a shot, you got to take it. You can't do that later in life. You can't do it any other time except for now." So, I can go back to school. I can chase those dreams eventually, and that's the long term plan. Even if baseball works out,
Right.
But um, this is something I've done for so long. I can't end it on an 11 game season
Yeah.
and give up a potential dream. That wouldn't sit right with me.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about, when if baseball, say that baseball doesn't work out, what are your kind of career plans, and what do you want to, your where do you want to go? I don't know. I already know, but you kind of talk about like where you want to go, for school, and what your kind of career plans are with that.
Yeah. So right now I got an acceptance at Jacob School of Medicine at SUNY Buffalo, so the MD program. So I got accepted back in January. So I mean, the long term plan is to be a doctor. Um, if baseball doesn't work out or when I'm done playing, hopefully later rather than sooner, which sounds weird to say,
Right.
but it's just kind of the position I'm in. I'd like to give baseball a shot and then go to medical school later on.
Right. What drew you to that? What made you want to kind of pursue that? Has that always been something you've been interested in?
Yeah, I mean, science is something I've always loved since I was a kid. So I've always been pretty curious. And then in high school, kind of reaffirmed that. So I knew I wanted to be a biology major. I like living systems, and the human body fascinates me. But I also grew up a type 1 diabetic. So going to the doctors and seeing what they do also kind of allowed me to realize my passion and aspirations.
All right. So you mentioned that you grew up, dealing with diabetes. Has that been something that's been hard to kind of manage and deal with, or is it just now that's so much a part of kind of what your routine and what you're used to that you don't really have to think about it anymore?
Uh, Honestly, yeah, it's pretty much part of the routine. I mean, I've had since I was 7, so I don't really know much different. Just check 4 games, always looking at my pump and sensor, paying attention to what I eat, which is kind of a blessing in disguise because I really have to have a good diet and
Right.
eat healthy. So I just kind of look at it that way. And then when I exercise, it's not just for baseball. I'm working out for my health.
Right.
So, there's more motivation there. But
Uh,
yeah, it's just I kind of look at it as everybody's got problems. Everybody's got something that pushes them, and for me, that's one of them. So
right. I remember, see, we grew up, uh, my uncle Brad's college coach, Dusty Rhodes, is a really old school, like military, old school baseball, like, grinded out guy. And
yeah,
he always had like no food in the dugout. Like that was like a big thing, like no food in the dugout. And so that's like who we've learned from and stuff. Well, I remember the first time that you played with us that my dad was there, you had like your cooler in the dugout because you had to like check and like eat if if your sugar was low. And I
yeah,
was like, why the hell does he have food? And I had to hurry up and tell him that so he didn't yell at you for having food in the dugout. But
yeah, yeah. I've heard of coaches doing that too. Luckily I've never had somebody like actually say anything. So
I remember, I think the first time I saw you, because you had the thing like in your back pocket of your baseball pants.
yeah, man,
Why?
somehow.
Yeah, I'm like, why does he have a cell phone in his pocket for the PBR? And then I realized what it was.
Yeah,
I played with the kid at UF that had a pitcher that had it too, and he had to do the same
yeah.
thing. He had it in his back pocket. So
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a secret fear of mine when I'm in the field because I'll look at it in between pitches every now and then just to double check. And
right.
honestly, it became like a superstitious
Oh,
like
really?
routine. I was like, all right, that was the 5th pitch. I look at it and then put it back. I just like, or if there's a pitching change, there's nothing else to do. But
Right.
I always got scared in high school and in college. Like I was gonna pull out and look at it, and a scout or a college coach would be like, "What the fuck's wrong with this kid? He's looking at his phone during the game. Like he's probably sending Snapchats or something." Because people confuse it for that from a distance all the
Oh yeah,
time.
yeah.
So who knows? Maybe that's why I didn't get a scholarship offer. They thought I was playing on my phone. And
Yeah. If you mentioned when you were talking about like your interest in the medical field that you're kind of fascinated by the human body, have you done any stuff? Because there's a lot of super scientific breakdowns of like the swing and throwing, and stuff like that, like the biomechanics of it. Is that something you've dove into, or not really?
not as much. I've paid attention to it because we do some of it. We have like a super slow mo cam at school that we use and we look at.
Mhm.
Um, and before coronavirus took over the season, there were some doctors from local hospital doing like studies where the pitchers were wearing these armbands, and it was measuring the force on the UCL and things like that, depending on the arm angle, which was kind of cool. But my focus has been more on kind of the molecular level, not so much the, you know, macroscopic biomechanical stuff.
Is that something like say you got drafted and you were in the Pro Bowl? Is that something you could see yourself doing though in like the offseason? Like, would you kind of be into that as to try to improve your game moving forward, or kind of just keep it old school? Let's go hit and throw and go from there.
Yeah, I think I would definitely incorporate that. I mean, that's where the game's kind of going anyway. Like, there's tons of technology, Statcasts all over the place, things like that.
Yeah.
And also, it's interesting, and I could use it to maybe learn something new.
Right. Well, I think that's kind of covers your baseball career. I'm gonna hit you with these rapid fire questions, and then we'll get it wrapped up. So,
All right, sounds good.
Favorite Major League Baseball team?
New York Yankees.
Oh,
Yeah.
you grew up in Alabama, and
Yeah, but my dad, my dad's dad, his dad, they were all Yankee fans, so I grew up watching them.
Okay. Favorite player?
Right now, actually Bryce Harper.
Okay.
I like the flair. I like the bat tosses. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
People hate it, but it's fun to watch.
For sure. Number you wear and why?
30, because I picked 24, but they gave me 30, so I just wore it since freshman year.
You got both Griffey numbers. You got 24 and 30.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes for a cool chant from the dugout because they'll like call me 30 rack or something like that, which is funny because I actually can't drink beer.
Right. Yeah. We talked about your college major, your career plan, so we get to skip that one. What about favorite like music group, musician, rapper? What do you got there?
J. Cole.
Okay.
For sure.
Favorite movie of all time?
Oof. Good Will Hunting.
Oh, that's a fantastic pick.
Yeah, any old Robin Williams movie, I love them.
Do you like apples?
I got a number.
And then this will be a good one for you because you could probably have quite a few of them. Best dugout treat.
Best dugout treat. Oof. Every now and then I used to go to the dining hall and then get like a to-go box of like my dinner, and I'd eat like half of it and then just put it in the clubhouse and then eat like the rest of it in like the fifth inning.
Yeah.
Without anybody. If I was DHing especially, I'd just run in there and like scoop some up, like eat a piece of pizza or something like that. So I don't suggest that because you might get in trouble, but I did it.
My freshman year at UF, like we would come out for the game, we'd be in a dugout, and they'd have like gum there and like maybe like some granola bars if you were like really hungry, you could eat them.
Yeah.
And, they always have snacks in the clubhouse like before the game if you wanted to grab stuff like bananas and all that. Well, late in the year, our one catcher broke his thumb, and then we had a guy catching, and then one of the other catchers was DHing. So I had to catch the pitchers that were warming up in the bullpen, and so I was going down there. Well, before the game, they would like stack the bullpen with like all these like all bunch of food and like all this stuff they'd have like waiting for them. And then like when the fifth inning, when they went down to the bullpen, they were just down there like pigging out on food and everything. Like,
yeah,
oh, it's pretty nice to have a nice little setup down here. So
yeah, we had our pitchers would have this like bullpen bag, and I would sneak down there because I was a two-way, even though I didn't pitch nearly as much as I hit, and I would just steal food from that, like gum, seeds, everything. I just ransacked that thing.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. I appreciate you taking the time to come on here and everything. And obviously, we're super hopeful and rooting for you. And hopefully, something happens. Like you've had a really good career and really good player. So we're hoping something happens for you and we can follow your pro career.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Thanks a lot. And I'm sure we'll talk soon, especially when it gets closer to draft time. But good luck with everything. And we'll see you down the road.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Murph.